Well, we're back and we want to talk a little bit about the budget now that has come out. It's been a long week this week, going back and forth, trying to talk with legislators, discussing the integral parts of what's going on right now as we come down to the deadline at midnight Saturday, which I think they'll meet early Saturday and probably finish their business before midnight. We did see the budget this morning. The conference reports are out. And in that budget, there's a 1.5% bonus that goes to state supported and local employees. That 1% is based on June. Well, it should come out June 16th of this year, 2025.
So it'll be whatever your base pay is on June 16th, 2025.
That one had pushed it to December. I think they decided June 16th on this, whatever that base pay is. On June 16th, you'll get 1.5% bonus for that. So that should be a good little vacation supplement for you. Going forward. We realize 1.5% bonus really does nothing as far as what your retirement is based upon, but it is an incentive for you, and hope everyone enjoys that 1.5%.
Yeah. Now, Bill, in terms of actually receiving it, they did put some restrictions in the budget bill, the budget language, in order to receive it.
Yeah, not everyone will receive it because there's, you have to have a rating of at least a contributor. Your performance evaluations, you can't have any active written notices under the standards of conduct within the proceedings of a 12-month period. So there's some that won't receive that, but on the large part, most everyone will.
Yes.
That was just some criteria they put in place in order to qualify for the 1.5% bonus. Now, I want to go into a little bit about the pay adjustment to the pay plan. The more we looked into this, the more we started realizing what the Senate's position was on the reduced amount that the governor had introduced at $3.3 million. And that $3.3 million was based upon a pay structure of what they originated this pay plan for. And so when the Senate looked at this, they started looking at how many troopers are vacant, how many positions were vacant right now, how many troopers have retired over a period of time, and other troopers were being hired at a lower pay scale.
Right.
So they looked at it in the sense that that number is reduced. So they appropriated $2.5 million to do the adjustments based upon the numbers that they were looking at of people who have left, and the people that were hired to replace them were being at a lower pay scale, and that there were still some 300 vacancies, we'll say right now. And they required the department to report back to DPB, Senate Finance, and House Appropriations on September the 15th, when they all report what their budget requests are for the year, of what those turnovers are and what they look like for 2024-25, so they can base that number going forward on the actual amount that it would take to do the 1.4% increase. And, once I saw it early on that they took $764,000 away, I didn't know how that was going to work out. But after seeing the language of why they did it, I understand it now.
Yes.
I don't think they took anything away. I think the department should be able to do all the adjustments.
And so that will be an adjustment across the pay steps for the pay plan.
Right. Anyone who's topped out the 30 years, that doesn't affect,
right,
because they are at the top of the pay scale. But everybody who is within that and promotions and so forth will be affected and will receive that bump in pay for years of service, promotions, and all that.
Very good. Some additional budget matters. There was $10.9 million appropriated for planning of the State Police Academy, replacement for the State Police Academy through the working drawings. So that's fantastic. The anticipated construction will begin in 2027 for the Academy.
Which is good news because, before now, it wasn't in the capital outlay projects that would require the state to fund building a building because they didn't know how much that amount would be.
Exactly.
They were saying $50 million, go build you a building. Well, you never know. You can't target that, and $50 million doesn't do a lot.
Yeah, it turned out that it wasn't.
It wasn't enough to even remodel what we had.
Right.
And so now it's switched, and it's under capital outlay, and now they're saying, go ahead, get your planning drawings, site prepped, everything that's got to happen.
Yes.
And then the money then will be appropriated each phase of that construction.
Mm-hmm. Very well. So that is well on its way. The 6th Division headquarters replacement, that remained in the budget.
Yes.
There was no discussion of that in the budget conference, so that will remain. But unfortunately, two amendments that we fought hard for did not prevail, and that was money allocated for pay raises for our VSP dispatchers. And there was also no money allocated for the hazard duty increases. So both of those amendments failed.
Well, let's talk about the dispatchers and this process. This process really isn't over until April 2nd when the governor makes all of his recommendations to what the General Assembly has done.
Yes.
We're still going to advocate that the fairness issue with what the governor's budget had initiated of a 9.3% increase for local dispatchers.
Particularly the position that will put state police in terms of being competitive to attract folks to be a dispatcher at VSP.
Well, I think it boils down to an education process because you and I have learned this over the last couple of years. When they say 911 dispatchers, they just assume our dispatchers are under that section of the code, and they're not. And so I think we have got to educate the governor's office on the fact that you're creating a issue with us keeping our dispatchers in place by raising the pay of local dispatchers who are not included in what you think is the language that covers them.
Right.
And so we'll be working now with the governor as he receives this budget to explain that situation to him through a letter or conversation to see if he can't go ahead and look at how much was that? Was 700 and
I don't recall right offhand, Bill.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge amount, and that's why I was surprised that we don't have a ton of dispatchers. Yeah, we don't have a ton. So I think if we can get it across to him that you're creating an unfair advantage here with local dispatchers, and you're going to lose our state dispatchers.
And to your point, he can amend the budget bill. So we will, of course, be pushing that messaging since this has remained for other dispatchers and will create a real disparity for our VSP dispatchers who are very much in need.
And we recognize it.
Yes.
And we've talked with them. We've sat down with a lot of even local dispatchers to talk about, the changes that go on now from what it was years ago to what they're required to do now.
Yes.
That's why we fought for, including them under hazard duty. That's why we fought for, the workers' comp for PTSD of what they go through. And hopefully that we can prevail by talking to the governor about putting this money in there. And hazard duty pay, that got the conversation started. I think we learned from Senator Carol Foy that she gets it and she understands, that there's got to be some movement to try to keep us ahead of the curve when it comes to the cost of living and what the modest increases in this hazard duty has done over the years hasn't kept up with that. So I believe that we at least are in the conversation stage. We may have not got there this year,
Yeah.
but we're getting closer.
Yeah. And keep working to get it over the finish line.
Right.
Well, thank you so much. That's all the budget updates that we have at this point. We'll continue to bring you information on that as it happens.
And the budget will be voted on tomorrow. So our work then will go to the governor to try to fix some of these things that we see in here. But all in all, we've been pretty successful. And once we got the explanation of what the pay adjustment was and how they viewed it, and now I understand they're looking at the reduction of pay of those that are being replaced, of the guys who are going out that are higher pay, and they're looking at the number of vacancies that we still have in the agency.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Take
Thank
care.
you.